Hello, soul family. I am Shannon Pardini, and this is Quantum Heart Conversations. And I am here with a very special guest, Bonnie Serratore. I'm going to just read her bio really quickly, and then we're going to jump into a really fun topic today. So, Bonnie Serratore is an expert energy clearer, master tracker, and spiritual accelerator. She helps people accelerate and speed up their personal healing, growth, and spiritual development. Bonnie accelerates the liberation of our authentic, true, and divine self. She does so by removing and clearing all unwanted foreign energies from all time and space which interfere with the expression of our divine self. Everything Bonnie knows, she has learned through direct experience in her own life, as well as from working with her clients and students. She has not studied or trained with any teachers and does not use spiritual guides or any trance-inducing tools. Bonnie relies on her inner knowing and the energy of the white light of creation. So Bonnie, with that said, there is just so much to your history and story, and you're just loved by so many and helping so many. I just want to welcome you. I adore you, love you. And who are you showing up as today? You know, our topic is going to be on Discarnates. To the audience, we'll get into what that is. But Bonnie, share a little bit about yourself, and then let's just kind of dive into this fun topic.
All right. Thank you, Shannon. I'm really, really happy to be here. Such an honor as well for me. Basically, you know, my life has been devoted to waking up, probably because in my own journey, you know how when we're young, we get pretty trashed and shattered and broken. So I was pretty messed up. So I began my inner journey in 1984. And from there, my life has really become about assisting, you know, people that are seeking to be liberated from their own inner suffering. So today I come as a friend, a healer, teacher, and someone who really cares about the well-being of all of humanity.
Love it. Yeah, you surely do. And, you know, you've really just been able to make waves out there. And so when I found you years ago, it was just such a blessing and at such the right time. So again, audience, I'll leave the links for Bonnie underneath the podcast and the YouTube video, but let's get started. So today we want to talk to the audience and introduce you guys to the frequencies and energies of discarnates and how they might be kind of wreaking havoc in all our lives.
Yes. Yeah. So I actually discovered the discarnate coming into people's bodies. This was in 1987. And when I discovered that, I was so excited because the thought of somebody else being inside the body and then getting them out, what could that really do? Well, you know, what did that mean? So remember, this was back in 1987. So I didn't really know what I know now. And over the years, of course, I've expanded in my awareness. But basically back then, I would do a little bit of hypnosis and have people just do like a yes, no, maybe on their fingers. And then one time I was asking, is there any other discarnate? And they said, no. I said, well, who's that? And that was the end of the finger thing. So from then on, I started talking. So Shannon, I had beings from other planets inside of people's bodies. My sister, this is a trip, my sister used to communicate with these particular aliens, and she kept telling them that she wanted to go with them. And so they actually showed up, and she lived out in the country, and so the ship came on down, and she freaked out. Okay, but basically, why I'm saying her is because something happened to that ship, and the beings that were in there actually came into her body. And I actually was communicating with them and was able to release those beings out as well. But the thing about the discarnates and what I've discovered is every emotional wounding that a person has. Let's just say you grew up with alcoholic parents, the impact of that. Or let's just say you've had molestation, the impact of that. Or being shamed and humiliated, the impact of that. So whatever emotion we have, and we can have discarnates attached to those emotions that are same frequency, okay? So the wounding, you know, same in you, same in me, wounding is the same. And when we have wounding in the subconscious or in the body, then you can have numerous amounts of discarnates attached to that one issue. Way back when I first started working, I would do like one discarnate at a time, talking directly to them, helping them to leave. Over time, it became something more like, it became like I started to release many that are attached to that same frequency. So the thing about discarnates is they influence your thoughts. They influence your reactions, your beliefs. They influence your addictions. They influence your inabilities. You know what I mean? Like if you're locked up or frozen or have a lot of shame or regret or feelings of not good enough, all of these energies that we experience are going to be more intense, more compounded when we have discarnates within. Now I know people are not going to like this, Shannon, but it's actually the truth, because I'm telling you, I've been scanning the world my entire life. And once I learned the discarnate thing and really started discovering how influential they are and how they are truly so many in the body, now there could be hundreds attached to one issue. Hundreds, not just one, but hundreds. And some of the discarnates are very active. Some of them are like asleep. They just found a nice hiding place and they just go dormant and they just go, go quiet. And then sometimes they might start waking up when we release other discarnates that are on top of them. And sometimes they literally take over the body. I've had many clients where they were categorized or clinically classified as being schizophrenic or multiple personality disorders. For me, that wasn't the case. It was discarnates, for real. Okay, I had one guy, poor guy. He would have blackouts. He'd be like, it could be minutes, it could be hours, it could be days. Okay, and he would wake up and everything would be different, or something might be happening and he wouldn't understand. But he had several discarnates that would completely take over his body and run his life. I had way back, this is back in the 90s, I did have a woman who was severely abused, sexually abused, even starting as an infant. So she had multiple peoples. Like I said, they labeled her as multiple personality, but it wasn't. She would, anytime we have a major trauma, sometimes it's so intense, we check out, we lean out of the body, or we go disappear somewhere, and then discarnates will come in and they will take over and live through the body. And we continue to be somewhere else until we release those discarnates and pull the person back into the body. So discarnates affect every facet of our life. Like, for example, having cigarette smokers, okay? Alcohol, it doesn't matter, okay, what you do, you're gonna have discarnates. So like, for example, I used to work with heroin addicts, and if I took out all the addicts that were in the body, then the person was more able to get off the heroin. If I didn't, then there was that continual desire that the discarnates were having, that for the addiction, to have the high, to have the drug, okay? And I do want to say how discarnates come in. They come in when we are under the influence of drugs and alcohol, or we're unconscious. That can be with an accident, an accident, somewhere, anytime where we actually go unconscious. And hospitals are notorious for discarnates. We all know that. That's an easy one. Bars, like people getting drunk and more discarnates coming in. Drug addicts, big time. People die of drug overdose. They come into somebody else's body and they keep wanting the high. See, the thing with discarnates is they're never getting the high. Meaning, even if it's food, cigarettes, drugs, they're not getting it. So they just want more and more, okay? So, I mean, it's just crazy how we are affected, severely affected. We can have discarnates and affect our belief systems, okay? We can have discarnates that affect how we see our own selves. And we have discarnates that like are overeaters. I can't tell you, Shannon, it's such a crack up, because I'll see these beings very clearly, and I'll see this huge, giant, heavy being inside of somebody who's having a problem, like they can't stop, like, what do you call it, binge eating, or, you know what I mean, just that overeating thing. take these guys out, and it's over like that, immediate. That's the thing about removing a discarnate, especially one that is influencing who we are, influencing our emotions. When they're gone, whoa, you can't even find the feeling anymore, you know, because they're gone. It was them that was wanting and craving and, you know, affecting our well-being, affecting our thoughts. So I mean, for me, every single clearing I do, every single one, whether I'm doing group clearing, semi-private clearing, private session clearing, every time I'm taking discarnates out, because there's discarnates connected to every issue that a person has. And again, you know, it might have a few, but most people have hundreds of discarnates in them. And we are severely affected by discarnates.
Yeah,
So yeah.
it's just to chime in a little bit. I self-taught myself kind of studying under you, and discarnates are, it's amazing how many get stored in the body through frequency and through the belief systems, right? At the end of the day, it's just that big dominant energy that's pulling them in, like, oh, there's home. Let's hang out. And the discarnates, it's like they get into the organs and wherever they're gonna hide, and they're really pulling from the life force of us. And it's amazing that when you do get these removed from you, the clarity that you can see, the clarity that you can hear, they're kind of a pain, and they're in each and every one of us. And so again, I assume too, while you're hearing Bonnie talk about this, you might feel chills or little, like, you know, movements in your body, and lo and behold, you know, these energies are there, and it's nothing to fear or be scared of. We all have, you know, the resources to take our power back, or people like Bonnie, but it really is, you know, taking care of our energetic body, you know, and really not allowing these energies, these discarnates, to get in. So I'll kind of let you tap in more and just kind of add to that.
Yes. So, you know, there's something too, like when we think about discarnates and coming in, see, think about this. Most people have never been taught that that actually happens. They have no clue. And we're also not aware that we have them. Okay, so most people don't know that they've got discarnates. So think about how in our lives, I just know for myself, okay, so I can speak for me. As a child, even way back, I was trying to find ways to just check out. I mean, you know, because when you have extreme suffering, all the emotional body gets whacked and life is intensely suffering. So I think I was about 9 years old, and I would lay on the floor and try to will myself to die, but it didn't work. But back then, the suffering, I didn't want to be here. So of course, if I don't want to be here, that opens the door for discarnates to come on in. You know, if I have thoughts like, I didn't ask to be born, I didn't, you know, I didn't agree to this, you know, or someone's in suffering and they say things like, I just want to leave, you know, I want, you know, check me, what is that? Beam me up, Scotty. And that was one of those old ones. But, you know, just different ways in which we don't want to be here. And anytime we go into trauma or we go into suffering, we may go into these thoughts of feelings like, you know, I just can't handle it. I don't want to be here. So anytime we are having those kinds of thoughts or feelings or reactions, we're basically saying, I don't want this body. It's available. Come on in, you can have it. And they do, okay? And then also I'm, you know, backing up a little bit when I was saying how when we go through really intense traumas and we literally leave the body, some of us never come back, and discarnates completely are living through us. And one of the things that for me, like way back, because, you know, for me, it's like old paradigm and new paradigm. And since we're moving into the new paradigm, I've been discovering for many years that the old ways are no longer the truth. They no longer are what's working. So people would often say, okay, yeah, you know, you want to put screens around you or put light around you or do something where you're blocking them. Well, come on, that's not going to work.
Exactly.
So it has to come from within, and it comes from within with that feeling that deep feeling that claims the body. Like I teach people to claim sovereignty over their body, meaning that really, really speaking it and really holding it. This is my body. I'm no longer allowing anything to come in. Any agreements that I have made, any agreements and contracts, because everything is on agreement contract level at the soul level. I'm, you know, so when any agreements and contract that I have made that allows any being to come in, null and void. Welcome map pulled up. No one is allowed in this body. And I can feel that, Shannon, throughout my entire being, okay? So if you're gonna claim sovereignty, at first you can feel that you're not really claiming it, claiming yourself 100%, but you wanna keep going and keep claiming and claiming sovereignty until you have that absolute knowing that you are owning and claiming your body, and you are no longer willing to allow anything or anyone else to come in. That is our best way to keep them out, okay? You know, holding, you know, doing saging or putting light around yourself or all these different things. I mean, you'd have, in order to do that, you'd have to maintain the light 24/7, you know what I'm saying? When you go to sleep, yeah, a lot of sage and a lot, yeah, so they're gonna come in. If you've got an unconscious agreement, which we all do, that allows for other things to come in, they're going to come in. So for me, it's like release agreements and contract that you've made for different reasons, you know, from all your past life stuff where you've agreed to share space or share energy or let people come in, because sometimes, how about this one where we want to save somebody or protect somebody, or how about our victims, you know what I mean? Like people that are in suffering and we're trying to help them or protect them. I can't tell you how many people have this really deep feeling like, you know, they want to help people, they want to save people, they want to protect people. And when they do that, especially in the past lives, and there's things happen, and like I'm remembering like things, for example, like let's just say that Shannon was in a past life, and let's just say that she was, hang on, that she was trying to, okay, there was something happening, some kind of natural disaster, and she's trying to help all these people, save them like there's flooding, there's something happening, and she can't, but that desire, so the people that die literally can come into the subconscious, into the body, so she's holding the victims in this. They don't just go away because the body dies. If you don't release them, they're still going to be in the body, and these are coming from past lives, and it's that feeling of wanting to help people, of wanting on some level to save people, okay? So when we have those kinds of thoughts and desires, I guarantee you we've been doing this in past lives. This is how things get anchored in, and then it will keep recreating. But all of those beings, all those victims from those past lives, they're still here. They don't just go away, and we are still affected by those that we were trying to save, you know, save them from their suffering, save them from dying. And even when they died, we're still trying to save them, you know? So it just goes on, and it's just profound how many and how big the energy is of discarnates. It's like, again, we all know, we're all learning, everyone's got them, you know? And some people can override it, or most people don't even know that they exist. The average human doesn't have a clue that there's discarnates inside of them. And I remember too, way back, Shannon, when I first started doing that kind of work, when I was doing, you know, like when I labeled my work as shamanism, I changed that because again, that's just like everyone's a shaman now. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I went for a weekend and now I'm a shaman. Right. Okay. So all these people that were, you know, that we would release, or when I was first started working, I was actually thinking or believing, because that's what I would sense, that there might be 1 or 2 or 3 entities connected to a particular issue. Okay, take them out. But then it was as the years went by and I kept really tracking and really discovering, that's when I started realizing, oh, wait a second, there's not just 1 or 2 or 3. And so in typical shamanism, they're going to teach around, like, you might have 1 that's affecting you. You might have 2 or 3 that's affecting you. Rarely are you going to find them. We're going to be telling you, oh man, you got a 50 or 100 or more. You're not going to find that out there, but it's actually the truth. So for me, I kind of broke away from any kind of traditional shamanic kind of work and just really opened everything up and worked the way that I do, which is still very shamanic. It's definitely shamanism, and it's modern day shamanism, and it's like tracking the whole picture, the whole energy, all of it, not just, you know, not focusing on one thing in someone, but expanding out so that you begin to get a sense of all the frequencies that are actually interfering with, you know, with all of us. So
It's, yeah,
yeah.
well, it's amazing how multidimensional we are, and everything, how brilliantly in this physical temple, everything can carry over. And it's interesting for you describing all the frequencies. And when you were talking about the victims, Discarnates, again, audience, they're dead people. They're dead energies, frequencies that they congregate and hang out in the astral field. And when they have an opportunity, especially in a porous astral body, they find place to hang out, and they find their frequency to tap into an area of the body that's carrying that. And so where Bonnie was talking about, you know, the frequencies of victims or different areas, like you can feel these energies of servitude that we, you know, we feel like we have to serve the planet and, you know, help our beloved or whatever. And it's such a strong desire, but it's like an over controlling. That's not necessarily your energy. You got some discarnates in those frequencies. What I love too, Bonnie, that you taught me, it's not just the victims in us, it's we're holding their energies as well. So there's always like this full circle. It's like we're holding their energy, they're holding ours, right? Where it's like,
Yeah.
not only do we have these victims, but you know, it's just the opposite somewhere else.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And we begin to take on whatever that is that they are holding. Like, for example, I can't tell you how many times a discarnate that has some kind of lung disease or something they died from, or, you know, any kind of illness, diseases, cancer, emphysema. I mean, all the different health issues that a person can have. When a discarnate dies, or when a being dies, they still are believing that they are that. We all know this, okay? We still think that we're the body. And so when we actually leave the body, we are still identifying with this body. And when they present, they're going to present in the body that they just came from, okay? So all these people that are within, they're presenting as these discarnates that look just like they did. And whatever they come in with, you're going to start, the person they come into the body, you're going to start having some kind of senses like, oh, I can't breathe. Now I don't know why, but I can't get full breaths. And, you know, depending on what it is, back pain, I'm telling you, it could be anything. It's like, oh, I got a pain in my back. You know, they can't find anything. Or I've got a pain, I can't breathe. They can't find anything. These are discarnates that come in. It'd be like me, like, let's just say that let's just say that I have some kind of disease. So I step into someone's body, and because I've got all this emotional energy around the suffering of that disease, the person that I'm stepping into is going to start taking on my thoughts, my emotions, my beliefs, and my physical suffering, my physical pain. So discarnates are affecting every facet of our lives, and people just don't know it. I actually think that educating people about discarnates is something that is vitally important, and it's not that, you know what I mean, like mainstream consciousness, they're not going to want to believe that. And, you know, I've been called names because of taking discarnates out, you know. So it's just the consciousness of humanity, you know, and how asleep humans are, most humans. And
it's a huge, again, it's like I've been working with this process, you know, myself in hypnosis on my clients, and I see transformation within like a week. You know, the stuff when we do focus on clearing these frequencies and these energies, and call them what you want, they are, you know, these little moving energetic entities, but at the same time it's frequencies. And so when your body is full of life force, you know, you can ground out and you can be a sovereign human. But again, we do have a lot of these things floating around, and it is important that we know, and we just see it for what it is. It's not, you know, we all can tell when something foreign is invading our body, like parasites, you know, they're like pathways to let these guys in too. So it's, again, it's, I'm just so happy that you brought this to our attention. And I feel more and more people are honoring it, especially when they've had a clearing. It's night and day. Your energetic body can actually feel some sort of home frequency. The clarity
Right.
you see in your eyes is like, oh my God, what was I carrying for that time
Yes.
alone? So again, with this knowledge of discarnates, we now know what they are. We know they carry different frequencies tied to the emotions, and they get in because the body's weak and porous. You know, they also can get in from our beloveds, right? If we're sharing DNA and so forth, you know, be careful, you know, who we're spending our lovely time with, and because
Yes.
this topic goes deep. Do you want to share anything on that, just to bring
Yeah. Oh,
more
yeah.
exposure?
Oh, Shannon, I got some cool story. Okay, just fun stuff that were mind blowing. But the thing is yes. So when people are connected, you know, you can have an entity and your partner. They can come into your body. Okay. Okay. So here's the things I get a kick out of. So teaching class years ago, I had a guy and a woman. Okay. Now they're both my students. I've known them for a long time. Well, they had gotten in relationship. It was kind of a long distance relationship. He lived in another country and they saw each other here and there. And it was just not like always cohesive. But what happened is I was doing a demo. So I had the guy on the table. Okay. And I started talking to the discarnate inside of him. And there was a guy in there, and I knew, I could feel it. And I knew that this was the one who was attracted to the guy's girlfriend. Okay. So I was talking to him, and finally what I did was, Shannon, it was a crack up. I said, oh, look, there's a woman up there. And he looks up, and so he left the body. And I'm looking over at the girlfriend, okay, and she's starting to cry. And I knew immediately it was up. So I go, come over here. So I stand at the end, and I started talking to her, and the discarnate started coming through. And I said, you can go be with him. And she goes, but he left with another woman.
Oh my God.
So I said, no. He's back. Look, he wants you. And I pulled him in, and there he was. And so when he left, came out of her body, these two people, they were sitting on the couch. They'd be looking at each other. They had no clue who the other person was. It was the discarnates inside of them that drew them together. Okay. The attraction of the discarnates. I've had people hate people because the discarnate inside of this person was hating the discarnate inside of that person, thinking I hate them. Take out the discarnates, that feeling is completely gone. So sometimes your attractions to different people aren't you. Okay. Sometimes, like, remember earlier I was saying about the woman who, the discarnate came in when she was young, and she got married, had kids, and then didn't know who she was. You know what I mean? Couldn't relate to her own children. Okay. So that's how intense it can be. But our reactions, I can't tell you how many times, like, I'm watching people and they'll be saying, I'm having a reaction to this person, or I'm not liking them, or I really like them, or whatever that is. I'm going, oh, that's not you. Take that out, and immediately, instantly, the feeling is gone.
Yeah,
Okay,
those
so
frequencies, you know, it makes me think of, it's just kind of funny, like the twin flame community, or whatever, all that,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, there's
yeah.
a lot of discarnates going on. But you know, what's interesting is just that, like, the looping system that, you know, with help of the discarnates, when people are so madly in love with somebody, even like 10-15 years later, they can't get out of that process, and they don't know why. You know, it's the same thing, right? I know you have some stories around that too,
You mean like people that broke up and they can't let go?
yeah.
That kind of, oh yes, yeah. Okay, yes, okay, here's what happened. simple fix, actually, simple, okay? So when you're, you have this experience where you are, you've had a relationship and then you end it in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, your entire life, you can't get over it, okay? Sometimes it's the discarnate, like again, it is discarnates, okay? So the discarnate is still in this body that still is attracted and still longing for that partner, okay? It can go either way, but also a little bit different though is when we've been intimate with somebody, we are putting our energy, our emotional energy into each other. We are putting soul pieces, soul essence into each other. So when we end that relationship, if we can retrieve our, get the energy pulling back of our energy out of that person, pull them out of us, and clean up any programmings and conclusions. Like, for example, I've had people make, like in past lives, make a vow, and I'll love you for eternity. Okay, well, then you can't be open to somebody new. So you have to unravel those kinds of vows and promises that we have made. So it's just finding all the little pieces, all the little components, and then we're no longer thinking about them, dreaming about them, wondering if we made the right decision and beating ourselves up. It's over. But you got to get all the pieces, you got to get all the components, all the agreements and contracts, all the past life stuff, vows, promises, and all of that. So, I mean, it doesn't take long, like boom, 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 clear. You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to take an hour for each one. No, seconds for each one.
Oh yeah, definitely. It can be instantaneous. It's amazing how much just awareness, of what this our physical body is the greatest biotechnology on the planet. And it's here in frequency and energy. And the more that we can tune into our awareness and grasp what is ours, what is not. And that's just a divine yes, a divine no. You can attune to the organs and all the different areas and just see, what may be lodged or creating the energy block. And, again, Bonnie and I are diving into this conversation because the majority of the time from these energy blocks, it really starts with these discarnates, creating this blocked field of energy. Then other stuff can tie to this whole process. But do you have any things that come to mind when I'm kind of moving from that flow to opening it up a little bit? When we do have these blocked energy flows from discarnates, what also can it lead to with attachments?
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, several things. Our attachments, when we have all these frequencies inside of us, they actually can start to cause diseases for real. For example, when you have a lot of discarnates that are really dark, negative. Oh, that reminds me. You also have oh my goodness, I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but it just came through. A lot of times we actually have enemies. Okay, so enemies on the astral planes, enemies from past life, but when the enemies are inside of us, look out. Okay, they can destroy our lives because they're after us and they want to stop and block us. Energy frequencies that like stuck energy, it can actually begin to block the flow. It can block the chi, it can block meridians, it can block organs. So organs can start to shut down. We can get different diseases and actual physical problems, physical illnesses, because of the frequency of discarnates literally blocking the body. I have seen people that when I look at them, they're just black. I don't mean bad, I don't mean negative bad, black with entities. Okay. Now, when you start getting the discarnates that are coming in from the powers of darkness, okay, so we have minions, we have servants, we have demon. I guess we can say, okay, demons.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's real.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
super real. Hello.
Yeah. So when we have these really dark, negative things that are haunting us or tracking us or blocking us, oftentimes these, like, for example, when we have like demons or we have minions of the powers of darkness, or we have really dark, negative beings inside of us, that means we've done some things in the past where we opened the door. Once we open that door, the door never closes. Okay. So, but for me personally, it was in 2004, is when I was doing, the guy named Kucinich was running for president. So it was a monthly thing of meditation. I was asked to do one. And so all of a sudden it just presented and I just went with it. And all of a sudden here comes Lucifer coming all the way up through and went right into the light, back, falling at the feet of creation itself, basically. And from that moment on, I was able to release agreements and contracts from the powers of darkness. Prior to that, there was no setting free in my awareness. So now it's like when I see somebody that's being attacked, under siege, with the powers of darkness, we can release those agreements and contracts, and we can also start to release the demons. We can release all the minions and all of that. And then the body, if it is going into some kind of disease or physical ailments, or even just shutting down, once we get all those dark energies out and all those frequencies, start releasing them and activating that core light that's within, the body starts to heal, everything starts to shift and change. The whole thing though with the powers of darkness, it's like anything that people do, like I know people to this day that are still using the darkness to do charms, to do different things, try to get things to happen. Casting, they're using, and it's like, why? It's like,
Yeah,
you don't
I
have to
know.
use the light, but
Right.
I'm telling you, you open that door, game over. They
Yeah.
don't let you go. You're haunted. I can't tell you how many people, healers and really beautiful people that say, I just want to serve the light and I do everything and I'm, giving, and I just keep being blasted. I got health issues, no money. And it just goes on and on. Oh, well, hang on. Let me check on something. Oh, we got soul capturing. Oh yeah, we got sacrifices. Yeah, that's what's up. So, we want to change all that, which we can now. Thank goodness we can. So we're releasing people from all these lifetimes of going into things like voodoo and witchcraft or sorcery, black magic, all these dark arts, okay? And anybody who's calling upon the dark arts. And again, you open that door and it's forever. It used to be forever. So now, we can release them and people, because everyone changes their mind. We do.
Right.
We
Yeah.
want to go dark. We want to go light. We want to know good. We want to know bad. We want to know it all. I mean, that's part of the soul's evolution, So know everything and know itself in all ways. So the clearing out and the releasing of the powers of darkness. I mean, sometimes I'm like, whoa, really? I've seen so many interferences. It's mind blowing. Like, oh my word.
Oh,
It's just crazy.
I've seen it all at this point in my life too. And that's what's made us where we are today. And the stuff we're talking about too, this stuff can be cleared instantaneous now. Before, it's like in the old paradigm, these things took forever, and obviously they weren't being looked at right. I think some of this stuff was being taunted more than actually being facilitated and communicated the way it needed to be. But again, it's just, I honor you for bringing this to light so many years ago. And you have such a bright community of just these beautiful soul leaders and healers that have your teachings and backgrounds that are facilitating. And everything that we talked about, from Discarnates to dark force, there's help to remove these energies. To our audience, there's so much that we can do just on our own. But if something is a bit of a struggle and you don't feel like you have identity, or if you feel really fragmented, then I suggest, going to someone like Bonnie, and just, doing a little attunement here, feeling it out, because, it's our body is energy. Our body is energy and frequency at the end of the day. We're multidimensional. We got stuff going on, playing out in these dimensions. And now that, we see the veils of illusion so much more clear, like it can't get any clearer these days. It's, we're kind of just playing in this funny, multidimensional circus. But now's the time to step up and clear your bodies, because you can feel
right.
energetically amazing, and you can get your life force back. And most of the dis-ease, you know, for the most part, even if it's informed, it still can be healed energetically, and, you know, tapping into some of this resources that we've shared today. So, you know, with that, like, I adore this conversation. Where can we go to kind of lift things a little bit for the audience? Like, what do you feel plugged into to kind of either share maybe a technique or something to just kind of enhance our knowledge of clearing these guys out?
Yeah. So, you know, we all have the, like you were saying, Shannon, we all have the ability to help discarnates leave. So I'm just going to walk that through a little bit. Again, sometimes we'll feel an energy and it'll move around. Guaranteed that's a discarnate, okay? Sometimes we just feel, we have a thought and we go, whoa, where'd that come from? That's not me. Or we have a reaction, we go, that's not me. Where's this coming from? Or even sensations. So for us, everyone can do it. Everyone can do releasing of some entities. So basically what I do is I actually call the light, okay, the light of home. Okay, it'll always come. Sometimes I might even ask for the emissaries of the light, but I will also sometimes call in the loved ones, beloveds, and occasionally I might call in some of the messiahs, okay? It just depends on what my feeling or sense is that I'm gonna need to help get these people out. And then, like, let's just say that I had a thought that when I was talking, all of a sudden a thought came through and I knew it wasn't me. So I'm going to identify that immediately. I'm like, hey, that's not me. Who is this? Who is that? Who's thinking that thought? And I'll make it really clear. You are not me. And I make it clear, this is my body. You don't belong here. Sometimes I'll go easily, like I bring the light. Can you look up into the light? There's your loved ones. Because here's the thing, just remember this. The people that are on the other side, when you've got discarnates in the body, if you just say the words, asking for the loved ones of whoever's in your body to present, they will present because they know who's in your body, okay? So we call in those loved ones and we have that person look up. Sometime we might have to, you know, have the family or loved ones or assist in some way, and then we, you know, help them to go up and out of the body. Oftentimes too, we can use the emissaries that escort these people out, and sometimes we're basically casting them out. Like I use a casting of the white net that'll literally capture the energy and send it all the way up. It'll carry it, lift it right out of the body. But if I can't, like if I'm feeling like I just can't get someone out, that means I'm just missing some components. Sometimes we are actually holding on to that person unknowingly. We might know them from a past life, okay? And so we've agreed to let them come in, but our conscious mind isn't aware of that. And we are thinking, okay, they're gonna go, but if we're holding on, then they're not gonna leave. This is when it's good to have somebody else help us. If we're not able to get someone out, then let's go get help. You know, get someone who's trained how to work with discarnates and help them come out of the body.
And do your research.
Yeah.
Make sure you know who's doing it, and it comes from highly recommended. You've seen results. Clean, clear.
Yeah. You want to go with people that are reputable because, like you said, Shannon, there's so many. It's just crazy how many people out there claiming things that simply aren't, you know, they're not. They can't walk their talk. They're not delivering.
Our salesman. Yeah. Just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So back to the process. Sorry for intervening there, but I just felt that was necessary.
Yeah. So, you know, the thing is they can hear us. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when we're talking, we can either talking out loud or just in our own mind's eye, but communicating and making it really clear. This is my body. You know, yeah, you came in and I gave that permission, but I'm now null and voiding that. I'm no longer giving you the go ahead. You're not wanted here. You don't belong here. I'm claiming my body. You need to go home. And again, you know, having them look up into the light. This is another thing too. When you can get a discarnate to actually look into the light, they will begin to remember the light is home. which is really cool. Okay, so if you can get them to look into the light. Oh, another thing that's really cool, Shannon, I love this, is whatever's needed in the light will present. Like, for example, like when I was dealing with a lot of alcoholics or drug addicts or cigarette smokers, I go, whoa, look at that. Every alcohol that's ever been from the beginning of time, look at that. And they're looking, and it's like, go. Yeah. So give them what they want. The
I
light will
love it.
present no matter what it is, it will give whatever is needed. And that's a great way to, to get people to go, because what they're wanting is because they can't, like I said earlier, they can't get the fulfillment in the body, but show them in the light, and then they're more willing to go. So we can get most of the time, we really can get them out. We might have to have a conversation with them, making it really clear, and they'll talk. Sometimes they will start talking to us. We'll start hearing them talk. Not always, but it can happen. We start the conversation like, hey, I know this is not me. Who are you? That type of thing. We can find out when they came in. I mean, it's like talking to another human being. And I think that's also really important, Shannon, that we stay aware that discarnates at one time were just as human as we are.
Right.
And they're still living as though they are that. So they're going to be emotional. Okay. They're going to be
They're not
no
breakdowns. Oh yeah.
Okay. So we treat them like that. We treat them like another human being.
Right.
You don't be, so you got to have some honoring, respecting, and understanding, and just making it really clear, though, and being just really clear and strong that no, game over, we're done with this, you need to leave. So basically, once we discover, we have a conversation, looking up, oftentimes the loved ones will start reaching down with their hand. I'll tell them, look up, they reach out, grab their hand, and they're going to help you go home. So, and that's what happens. They just reach up and come right up and out of the body. We can feel them leave, or we might feel like a little more of an empty space, or that thought that we were having is no longer there. So the ability to clear and release discarnates from our own selves, we all can do it. So what I would also recommend is like paying attention to what did you live with, meaning what was your trauma? What was your wounding? What are your belief systems? Because that's the kinds of discarnates that are going to be attached to you. Same in you, same in me. So if you were abused, let's just say like sexually abused, molested, okay, you're going to have victims of molestation in there. Sometimes you might even have perpetrators in there too. Okay, it could be anything. So if you can't get through the healing of your own shame or disgust or feeling dirty or all the different things that happen to people who have been molested, it's a huge possibility that you haven't released all of the discarnates, because they're going to hold those emotional energies. Okay, so if we've had somebody who's been violated, molested, so like this to say in my life, if I had whatever I've lived, I would have those kind of discarnates. So I would address those issues. I would address the being molested and what that felt like and all the emotions of that, and be asking and looking and helping people to go into the light. Like you're safe in the light. And then also to make sure they feel safe, as we ask for a loved one that they feel safe with. Okay, it might be a grandmother, it might be a mother, it might be a friend, So we want to make sure that whoever's presenting, they feel safe with and they want to go with them. When you're dealing with molestation, it can get a little wonky because they might have fear of men, or even women. It can be whoever the violator was. They're going to be fear of that. So they're not going to feel safe with some of those kinds of beings that present. So we all, make them safe. And then also letting them know that by going home, their trauma will be over. Oh, here's another thing, Shannon, that they can do. Like, for example, let's just say there's a discarnate who doesn't want to go into the light. They feel all this shame, okay? So here's what's awesome with the light is you bring the light in and you tell them, okay, here's what happens. The light is home. If you begin to look up into the light, all that shame is going to dissipate and dissolve and be gone. That gets their curiosity, okay? And once you get them to look, the energy frequency, it really does. It'll start to dissolve that energy in their energy field, and that frequency of them, and the shame can be dissolved. Another way to do that, another way to dissolve any kind of emotional frequency before you release a discarnate, is I use the white flame. Okay, the white flame is like one of the highest frequencies. That works hand in hand with the white light. It also is the frequency of the Holy Spirit. So when I have discarnates that have, like sometimes there'll be a bunch inside, and let's just say this, again, we'll just use molestation. So you got young children, you got different ages, different degrees of violations, different degrees of suffering, torturing, and the shame and the horror that they have lived. So what I'll do is I'll bring that light in and I'll bring in the white flame. I'll have the discarnate step into the white flame. When they do, everything disintegrates. The shame, the horror, the memory, all of it disintegrates, so that as they begin to ascend right up into the light, that stuff's all gone. And the cool thing about that is they're not carrying that over in their soul imprint into their next incarnation. So in some ways, by helping people at this level, you're clearing them from having to do more of the same in the next lifetime. Okay, so using the white flame for any issue that a person's traumatized, they don't want to go into the light, sometimes they're afraid they're going to be judged or punished or whatever. Use that white flame, dissolve the traumas, dissolve all the dark energy frequencies, and then they automatically just start ascending. Right, you'll see them, sense them, know, feel that they're just lifting right up and out, because you've liberated them from tortured, suffering, emotional pain.
I love it. Yeah, it's, you know, again, we all have the power to work with these divine frequencies that are at our fingertips. You know, they are us on a daily basis. And so I just appreciate you sharing and you know, giving guidance to this, because more and more of us, we can do this practice. Spirit doesn't make this hard. You know, we're creators and we have amazing imaginations, but these imaginations help the multidimensional part we're playing. So again, using the lights, using, you know, the frequencies of the Holy Spirit, the home frequency, the white light, it's a gift to us. And if you do want to take your power back, practice with that, reclaiming your body, and guaranteed some of these things are going to fly out of you. the minute you do it, they're going to be like, what?
Yeah.
Sleep here anymore? Very powerful subject, and I love bringing the attention to, you know, what we truly are. And Bonnie, I just adore the work that you're doing. You've been such an incredible part of my knowledge and wisdom and how I've been integrating it. And yeah, it's, you know, is there anything you want to add around this topic or closing for this wonderful subject that I want everyone to get knowledgeable in?
Yes. Okay, so here's another thing you can do. So think about this. In the core, every being that ever has been, is, and shall be is pure love and light in the core. Everyone. Okay, the darkest of dark, the evilest of evil, the demonic, everything has the light. Okay, if you are able to come on in and start coming into your frequency of that light, and what I would do is take your awareness and just come in, almost like the seat of the soul, coming on down into the heart, and find where you go into a space of where all you're experiencing is blinding bright white light. It might be a pinhead. It doesn't matter, okay? But when you go into that and you are resting and sitting and just being in your own light. Now, in this place of light, there is no judgment, there's no wounding, there's no broken, there's no shattered, there's no poor me, there's none. We are pure consciousness. No, nothing but that, okay? So when we come in there with our awareness, we can start expanding that frequency of light, that frequency of pure unconditional love and light, and to keep expanding it through our energy field. And here's what happens. Frequencies of darkness cannot be in the light. Okay, so demons, dark energies, evil frequencies, really dark negative discarnates, they can't be in that light. So if you can practice and play with coming into your own core energy, the truth of who you are, your own divine light, then once you're there, you can keep expanding, and literally it'll start to dissolve those frequencies of the darkness. And when you start to really open your heart to the frequency of unconditional love, this is such a cool thing. When you literally are able to be in that, to stay in that energy of in the core, and you're experiencing unconditional love, what happens is your heart opens, and you have a frequency of feeling a sense of unconditional love for all beings. I don't care what they do. I don't care how blind they are, how asleep they are, how evil or cruel they are. There is nothing but the frequency of unconditional love. When we live in that place, it's a game changer. It's a life changer for all of us. And, it releases and pushes out darkness. It releases and pushes out the dark beings, entities that we don't want in our body. Again, because think about it, the light, they can't survive and live in the light. So that's another way. Not everyone can do that, Shannon, because not everyone has it's not that the light isn't there, because it's in everyone, but the matter of finding it, because there's so much wounding on top of our light, right. Misperceptions and beliefs, all of that. We think this is who we are. We don't know that we are this incredibly divine being of light, love, and light. But once we start tapping in and expanding that and working with that energy frequency, it just keeps on getting more and more expanded, and it begins to affect our whole being. It affects our health, our organs, our frequency, vibrations, all of it. So again, that's another way to help discarnates get out, especially dark ones, especially the dark stuff, right. Which is really cool.
Yeah, and we know about that.
Yeah.
Life force, baby. You go for the life force. That's what this is about. You'll stay young, healthy, vibrant. You don't have to let all these frequencies anymore. We're not in these old paradigm spellcasting games anymore. Like the human is, we're truly powerful. So thank you again for everything. And for my audience to reach out to you, what's the website you're at currently? Spiritual Acceleration.
Spiritualacceleration.com.
Okay. Yes. I'm going to list all of Bonnie's information attached to this podcast and the video on YouTube. And again, any last words before we wrap it up?
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, you have the power, you have the right to claim your body 100%, to live fully in this temple. And you did want to be here. You agreed to be here, and you forgot, and you've got all this carryover. And keep saying yes, clear out your entities because you can, and keep focusing on your own divine light. Keep, come in, play with that, practice with that. And I promise you, your heart will open more and more and more. Life will get lighter, freer, easier, more joyful, more happy. And you will begin to really understand that you really are creating your reality 100%.
I love it. I feel lighter after this topic. Thank you so much, audience. We love you. Bonnie and I are signing off for now, and links to come. Ciao.
All right.